हेलो एवरीवन, वेरी वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून टू ऑल द व्यूअर्स ऑफ अनअकैडमी लॉ। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है हमारी आज की न्यूज़पेपर एनालिसिस में। एंड टुडे इज़ अ वेरी स्पेशल डे, डे ऑफ फेयरवेल फॉर आवर current Chief Justice, that is Justice N.V. Ramana. It's his last working day. So in that moment, it is important that there is always the Chief Justice of India is always a very important position in terms of students for CLAT examination. It's the office, it's the highest office that a person can aspire to from the position of legal sphere in India itself. And today he retires from his position as a proud Chief Justice of India, and during his tenure the court has reduced the number of pendencies, the court has reduced the number of the shortage of judges has been brought down in his 1 year as tenure of the Chief Justice. So on that note, it is very very important for us to note down what all the important events that have happened. So on that note, we'll begin the session today, and tomorrow I'll be doing a recent legal judgment and also doing a special class on this Sunday covering the important judgments of Justice N.V. Ramana. That will be a highlight session for all of us, and that will be very very important for all of you because आपके CLAT के examination से related वो एक important session है. So on that note, if you are someone who is watching me for the very first time, I'm Kushagra Goyal, a graduate from National University, a Masters in Economics. And if you are someone who is watching me for the very first time, that to connect with me, the Telegram channel जिसका link आपको नीचे भी दिख रहा है, is kushagragoyal_unacademy. And हमारे sessions के notes are available to all of you on bit.ly/kushgk notes पर. Okay, so on that note, very very good morning everybody else who have tuned in. Hi Shiksha, hello Gayatri, hi Samriddhi, hi Noor, hello Veena, very very good morning to all of you. And once again, we will be continuing with our daily current affair quiz, which will happen today at 11:30 a.m. Same timing as yesterday. So do not miss out on that. And today is a special day because I'll be taking doubts on your legal reasoning section. आज शाम को 5:10 पे I'll be taking your doubt session on the legal reasoning section. So make sure if you have any doubts related to that, you can ask me today at 5:10 p.m. That's when the session is in the evening. So अपने सारे के सारे mock test में जो भी doubt है लेके आना on in this special class. And lastly, on the revision, we will be doing a revision quiz again at the same time as yesterday, that is 7:10 p.m. So do not forget to miss out on that special class. So on that note, let's begin our newspaper analysis for the day. So the front page, yesterday the Supreme Court gave one important committee report was finally submitted to the court, which was the Pegasus allegation on the government. PILs were filed against the government of India that from 2019 onwards, the government had been using a spyware software on its fellow citizens without proper permissions. And that is where a committee was constituted by the Supreme Court, which claimed, and there has been no conclusive proof of the spyware. However, it cannot be confirmed whether it is Pegasus or not, and the government did not cooperate with the court's committee. So हमें क्या पता होना चाहिए about this? So सबसे पहले what is Pegasus? Pegasus is a spyware from company NSO Group. It is a military grade software, मतलब सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट्स को बेचा जा सकता है. Okay. And which country can do it? The government is Israel. Now the allegation against the government was that they had been using it. So to confirm whether they had been doing it or not, a committee was constituted under retired Justice are we okay. Now it had 2 other panel members and 3 technical experts to assist it, but the name questions में हमेशा यही आता है कि who headed the committee, so it is Justice R.V. Ravindran Committee, former judge of the Supreme Court. Okay, now they in their report first of all highlighted found malware in phones. ठीक है, it was proven that there was some mobile phones that found a malware. Lack of evidence for Pegasus. That's the confirmation that we have in terms of the work. So इस news report में इतना ही है. There is confirmation that the government didn't answer, the government didn't cooperate with the committee. Okay, the response was that the Solicitor General in the court confirmed that if it was a question that whether you were using a particular malware, we would have, what were you using, we may not have said it. मतलब हमने सरकार को या गवर्नमेंट को नहीं बताया कि हम कौन सा malware यूज कर रहे थे. हम कर रहे थे, that has been confirmed by the government, but what were they using, that has not been confirmed. So one thing is sure, that they did use something can be used on Indian phones without proper permission. That is what the government has conceded. मतलब they will accept, or they conceded that they are using something. In what capacity, how they are using it, that is not yet. That was not proven to the court or was not told to the court. Okay, so that is the first thing to have been confirmed. Malware found in Pegasus iske andar. All right, then we come on this news. Suspense in Jharkhand as Chief Minister Soren may face disqualification. Now this is about the office of profit. For any individual to be eligible to be an MLA, okay, one thing that you need to do is not hold an office of profit. This is a mandatory requirement. Okay, to be an MLA or an MP, you must not hold an office of profit. Now what is an office of profit? An office of profit is a position. So first of all, this is a compulsory requirement. Now what is this office of profit? An office of profit is where you can directly benefit. Basically, it's like holding 2 positions at the same time, where you are able to benefit yourself directly from the position of authority. It's a state where you can directly benefit from your work position or the position of work where you are right now. Okay, so that's the situation that is there in an office of profit. Clear? So this is now, the report has not yet been confirmed by the news reports, that the election commission has not yet served it, so we have to wait and watch what this development of the story will be about. Okay, but the allegation of office of profit. Then in the case of, so मैंने आपको कल भी कहा था कि कल was a landmark day in the Supreme Court. A lot of important matters were to be heard, and one of them was the remission that had been given to the convicts in the gang rape of Bilkis Bano. The Supreme Court has issued notice to the government of Gujarat seeking their report. On what grounds have they given remission to these 11 individuals who are convicted of a gang rape which constitutes a heinous offence? So notice has been issued, and now it needs to be seen what action what reply the government will take, what stand the Supreme Court will take in future. Next is the report on the Ndtv takeover. So day before yesterday we had talked about how NDTV's 29% shareholding in a VCPL company had been sold to Adani Group, by virtue of which Adani Group has 29% shareholding. Now that transfer of shares had to go to the Adani Group, but it needs to be done by the directors of RRPR Group, which is Pranay Roy and Radhika Roy. However, the SEBI bars them from taking any action until the end of November. That is 26 November tak they can't do any transactions in the stock market, and therefore this overall agreement is right now at a standstill. Matlab there will be no updates on it till 26 November. By 26 November probably our examination question paper will also be ready. So until and unless any new update comes out, there may not be anything of note in this matter for us. Okay, for those who wanted to note the slide, yeah, you can. Okay then, moving on. So India for the first time condemned the attack on Indian author Salman Rushdie for the attack that happened on him in New York for the book that he had written in 1989, that is the Satanic Verses. Okay, so this, after 2 weeks, India has finally made a statement where they called the attack horrific and condemned the violence that had taken place. No allegation against the state of Iran, which was made by individuals in the West about that there was an Iranian conspiracy behind the attack. None of that the Indian government has stated. They have stated a generic one, that they condemn violence in all forms. So that puts into spotlight once again the Satanic Verses, which is the book. Then we move on other national news, political news, nothing of note for us. None of this is important for our examination perspective. Then we move to the editorial section. Okay. Now before I move to the editorial section, once again I want to highlight to all the viewers of Unacademy, to all of you, that yesterday we started a new batch known as Law Stark batch. This batch is going to cover the entire syllabus of CLAT 2023 examination from scratch, and the classes for the GK subject will be taken by me. मैं पूरी GK की classes इसमें लूँगा. It will cover your entire syllabus of the GK in 3 months, which is 25% of your CLAT paper, and the batch will also allow you access to 20 live mock tests plus live solutions from adjudicator from our educators, along with a monthly compendium also will be given. And if you are a 2024 student, मतलब 11th class में हैं आप या 10th class में हैं, तो you can enroll in Success NLU batch, which also began yesterday. And this batch will allow you access to 50 live mock tests plus 150 extra sets, and you will also get sectional tests included in this. And just like the other CLAT 2022 toppers, this can be your opportunity to avail it. And the best part is you can also receive physical notes from Unacademy on your doorstep if you choose the iconic category of notes. The sample of these notes is in this QR code. आप इसे scan कर सकते हैं. It's on your screen right now. You can use your mobile phone to scan this QR code to download a free copy of the e-notes. And today is the last date to avail a minimum of 20% and a maximum of 35% discount on your total subscription fee. So please make sure the prices are going to go up, and this is your chance to make a humongous saving on your overall subscription costs. So if you want to avail this discount, you will need a referral code. The code is KUSHGK. This discount is also available on the plus category of subscription, where the minimum saving that you will do is 5,400. So do not end up paying more. Take your subscriptions at the earliest. Use the referral code KUSHGK. बाकी किसी worries के लिए you can call us at 85858585. The prices of subscriptions are going to go up, so please make sure that you do this subscription enrollment today itself. And when you do Iconic, you also get live mentorship plus doubt solving plus priority in classes. So prefer Iconic above plus. Baki queries ke liye you can call us, and to connect with us you can use the Telegram channel, that is Unacademy_CLAT. The link to enroll is also in the description of this video, so you can do it from there. Then we move on to freebies, a judicial lead and a multi-layered issue. So today Justice N.V. Ramana is also going to give a judgment on whether the Supreme Court is actually going to look into the issue of freebies or not. Whether the court will formulate a committee, will it have regular hearings, will it take opinion of all governments and all on the issue of freebies. So this editorial is an explanation on freebies. What are those? Basically, freebie is anything that the state gives out from the taxpayers' money without seeking money from them. Freebie is monetary or any material benefit to a person from taxpayers' money without seeking any return in favor. Okay, so freebie can be characterized as we'll discuss about mock marks in a separate segment, and about the notes for yesterday's you can download them from the Google Drive, जिसका लिंक मैंने वीडियो की शुरुआत में दिया था, bit.ly/KUSHGK notes. अब ये एडिटोरियल फ्रीबीज को दो कैरेक्टर्स में डिवाइड कर रहा है. ओके, फर्स्ट इज अ सब्सिडी एंड द अदर इज अ टैक्स कट और रेवेन्यू फोरगॉन. टैक्स कट या फिर रेवेन्यू फोरगॉन. अब ये होता क्या है? सो सब्सिडीज आपको पता है, जैसे कि आपने एक सिलेंडर लिया जिसकी मार्केट प्राइस है 1000 रुपए, बट आपको सब्सिडी मिलने के बाद वो सिलेंडर 1000 की जगह और आउट ऑफ 1000 यू आर गेटिंग इट फॉर 600 रुपीज. सो there is a subsidy of 400 that you are receiving. Similarly, let's say the actual cost of electricity is 15 rupees per unit. However, actual payment that you are making is only 8.5 rupees per unit. So again, there is a 6.5 rupees subsidy that you are receiving per unit. So that's a subsidy. It's very easy to characterize a subsidy. Similarly, some certain services of the state are totally free of cost. जैसे कि the state decides to give everybody a free LED bulb. during the 2019 election campaign, the Prime Minister had asked everybody to shift to LED bulbs, and the state had given everybody a free LED bulb just to tell them that see how these LEDs are better than your CFLs or other type of electrical bulbs that you had been using. So that was done. Now, how have we suddenly come to talk about all of this? Because the Prime Minister stated that these freebies are basically like reveries which the state is giving out, which is spoiling the state. However, that brought in a lot of criticism because under the present government, the amount of central subsidies have actually increased. Thus, overall services in terms of free is what has been the primary major area of development under the current Prime Minister. That is free bank accounts, free electric, free toilets, free gas. All of those are freebies as per his own characterization. Now, this editorial is talking about another type of freebie that we give. So, for example, a new project is to come up on a land, and there is redevelopment that is going to happen of an area. So, the state gives this or asks the private company to come and establish their office on a land. Usually, this would be, let's say, a project that will get the state 100 crore of revenue, but they are allowing them to do it for 25 crore. जैसे कि Amazon का हैदराबाद में headquarters, that was done under a state's tax foregone or revenue foregone that was done by the state, okay, on a concessional rate कि आप अपनी तरफ से, so that was 75 crore of subsidy. Similarly, cancellation or haircut of loans that is done by the state of private companies. Because of pandemic, the state allowed haircuts of loans. That is, that मान लेते हैं आपने 100 crore का लोन लिया, but आप सिर्फ 20 crore पे बैक कर पा रहे. So कोर्ट, तो बैंक ने क्या किया, आपका 80 crore का लोन राइट ऑफ कर दिया. That is also known as revenue foregone. So the author is talking about that freebies cannot just be about subsidies. They also need to have revenue foregone as an area of direct constitution of freebies. Okay, so that is where we need to arrive at. A lot of times, a lot of various formats of freebies are given, which are characterized here. But do we have an actual definition of this across the world? So we have only one definition to refer to for subsidy, which was given by the IMF. Okay. So subsidies can be form of any income or price support granted by the government. Subsidies are price support, income support, basic income, anything for which you are not receiving. However, there is also a need for characterization of revenue foregone. So what is revenue foregone? Revenue foregone under central tax systems is tax incentives under central tax system और basically revenue foregone. जो revenue आप earn कर सकते थे किसी को tax करके, आपने वो tax नहीं किया, तो therefore you are gaining a lot of, you are losing out on revenue, but in the name of promotion of business, ease of doing business. Okay, so the author is making a claim that both these things need to be done, and then he gives a solution that when can we actually move away from all sorts of these things. मान लेते हैं tax revenue also, tax foregone and subsidies both are done away with. When can we do it? When our human capital investment is high. इंडिया को इतना सारा subsidies और ये सब इसलिए देना पड़ता है क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ human capital की value बहुत कम है, या हम उसमें investment बहुत कम करते हैं. If you ask yourself and you compute, okay, कि आप अपने एजुकेशन और हेल्थ केयर में अपने मंथली एक्सपेंडिचर में से कितना खर्चा करते हैं. सो एज अ स्टूडेंट यू आर स्पेंडिंग फार मोर, बट यू कैन आस्क योर पेरेंट्स हाउ मच ऑफ देयर मनी आर दे स्पेंडिंग ऑन द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ देयर हेल्थ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आप एक्सरसाइज करने के लिए जिम, या फिर आप ऑन अ डेली बेसिस नंबर ऑफ आवर्स यू आर पुटिंग इन योर सेल्फ डेवलपमेंट कितना कर रहे हैं. इफ यू आर डूइंग इट मोर देन 6% ऑफ योर डेली टाइम, यू आर 90% in the top 10% of Indians. If you are an Indian who is spending more than 10% of your time on your health and education on a daily basis, you are in the top 10% of Indians. So that is the criteria that the author is pointing out. So isme characterization is the only important thing. Okay. Then your question, How to make a note on this topic? You need to only make a note on the definition of freebies and the type of freebies. Okay, the definition and the type. That's all that you need to take a note of. Then you come about. Good morning. Can I tell the difference between G20 and G7? G20 are a group of 20 economies including developing economies. G7 is a group of developed economies basically. It's different forum. जैसे BRICS है, which is a forum where India, China, Russia, South Africa and Brazil integrate. There is SAARC, BIMSTEC. These are different groups. So they just meet. There is no particular difference except for the member nations that are there in that. Okay. All right. So इसमें से आपको सिर्फ definition of freebie लिखनी है. That's all that we need to be there. Then we come on the left hand side, a rainbow of hope. So for the longest time in India, we do not have any Indian terminology for people of the LGBTQIA plus community, which stands for plus any other way anybody wants to identify themselves. Okay, so this is the LGBTQ community, which is based on the sexual orientation of an individual. How do you come across this? This is based on the sexual orientation of an individual, and this is something that each individual has to its themselves. उनका खुद का है ये. You can't determine for somebody else कि who they like or who they find attractive or not. So until now we had no term for Indianness of them. Okay, now the Madras High Court has given a judgment where they have given a terminology for their overall integration. When we start accepting people that there are certain people, that's the first step of their equality or a step towards their equality. So that is what the Madras High Court has done. How have they done? They have asked the state government to come up with terms. And what are those terms? So सबसे पहले मैंने आपको already ये note करा दिया, LGBTQIA plus community, their full forms. Now how have they identified them? They have identified them, which you can start noting down. So जहाँ पे भी आपने अपना ये लिखा है, lesbian, gay, all of this, you can start noting it down from there. Palpudmiyar for queer, Muravya Palimnar for trans, Idapal for intersex, Palina for gender non-conforming persons. Okay, so that is the way they have identified. Now this is seen as a first positive step for these individuals. Okay, that's the step that they have done, which is these terms that they have come up with. When the judgment, so how did this case come to the court? The case came to the court when two individuals approached the Madras High Court claiming that their parents had been harassing them for being gay. And that is when the court took note of the matter and asked for police protection. So for police protection to happen, there was a lot of education of the police force also to go through. So the court then, first of all, the judge himself re-educated himself about all these matters and then has now come up with a judgment for preventive steps to prevent their prosecution by the society or the trouble that the society gives, because under Article 21, all these individuals have a right to live peacefully and exercise their rights peacefully, because this is their area of concern. The court, and this is the their private sphere, which is a part of their fundamental rights. So the court has protected it. Okay, so it is only the first step for identification, for recognition of rights. Okay, so what is this? This is part of their recognition of rights. ठीक है. T stand not visible. T is transsexual, I is intersex or intersexual individuals. How can you study for CLAT in 3 months? You can do it by enrolling in the new batch, which is Lost Ark. वहाँ पे आप consistently पूरा syllabus cover कर सकते हो. Then रीडिंग में बहुत दिक्कत है, डोंट वरी अबाउट इट टू मच, जस्ट कीप ऑन रीडिंग. जैसे अब मैंने हाईलाइट किया कि ये एक इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल है आप लोगों के लिए, सो इंश्योर दैट अब आपने समझ लिया है. सो नाउ इफ यू रीड इट यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड इट बेटर. दिस विल इम्प्रूव योर excuse me, reading speed on a general level. Okay, zoom the highlights. All right, take a note. You can take a screenshot also अगर आपने नहीं लिया है तो अभी तक. Thank you so much. All right. So moving on now to the next one is a Perilla Stalemate. What is this about? This is about the 6 months of the Russian war in Ukraine. For 6 months the war has gone on, but we have reached a stalemate. Why? There are two reasons for the stalemate. One, because of the winter that is now approaching. Now the area where the conflict is happening, our winter season is descending upon them. Okay, and in this regard the court, now what can be the way to reach peace? Will there be lasting peace or not? Those are the questions. So it's a suggestive article that the two parties, that is Moscow and Kiev, Ukraine and Russia, should find some solution to their conflict so that this doesn't carry on further and further. It shouldn't become a permanent thing. This war cannot drag on unnecessarily. That's the thing that is highlighted here. Then we come to this editorial. This is about a tricolor campaign and notes from the past. This is an article on the history of the RSS with the national flag and their comments on the national flag and how they have a difference of opinion with the national flag and the historical relevance of it. So it's a history article. So if you are interested in knowing that, you can read it. Nothing of note from my side. Exam perspective से nothing of note. So अगर आपको जानना है about them, then you can note it here. Then we come, should India change its policy on Rohingya? So right now India doesn't recognize Rohingyas as refugees. Which person is a refugee? So a refugee is a person who has left his or her homeland out of fear of death or prosecution, that you receive death threat, that you may eventually die in your own country and therefore you have left it, and under the principle of non-refoulement, okay, under the principle of non-refoulement, no country can deny entry to them. Every country has to accept refugees and allow them entry in their country. However, if you deny them as refugees itself, which India has done, then you can deny them entry. Okay, so that is the case that this article is about. Should India reconsider its policy on Rohingyas? Should they be considered refugees or not? Rohingyas are Muslims living in the Myanmar country or the Rakhine province of Myanmar who had left after prosecuted violence against them by the military. Okay, non-refoulement, the principle of non-refoulement, no country can deny entry to them. Okay, then we move on. Recently, RBI has published an article against privatization of banks and stated that India should continue with private and public sector banks because the public sector banks provide financial services to rural India, and therefore to protect the rural users of banking services, we should continue to allow public sector banks to run in India. Then we move on to text and context. This is about how Kerala has finally found a solution to its flooding situation after the horrendous floods of 2018 and 2019. They are finally able to manage or accommodate or ensure that there are no floods in the state. That's the thing. And then we move on. Nothing of note here on other national news. Okay. So first of all, citing border pacts, अब क्या हो रहा है? India is going to conduct a military exercise with the US military known as Yuddh Abhyas. The 15th edition of the Yuddh Abhyas will happen between India and USA, which is a joint exercise between the two countries. It will happen in Uttarakhand, 100 kilometers away from the Indo-China border. So China has objected कि आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते. India has stated कि आप का क्या locus standi here to reject us? We are here because of you and your violating the protocols. We have had to actually do these exercises. But the most important news is this small one on the right hand side corner for all of us, is that Samir Kamath is the new DRDO chairman. The government has appointed a new DRDO chairman, that is Samir Kamath, who will hold the position till the age of 60 or till further orders. Okay. And the current one, that is Satish Reddy, he will be moved as a scientific advisor to the defense minister. So new DRDO chief. DRDO stands for Defense Research Department of Defense Research Development Organization. Okay. Defense Research and Development Organization. DRDO stands for Defense Research and Development Organization. लोकस स्टैंडाई मीन्स दैट आपका क्या पोजीशन है. जैसे अगर आप यहाँ पे आके मुझसे अपने फैमिली कंसर्न्स या आई स्टार्ट एंड आस्किंग यू अबाउट योर फैमिली इश्यूज, तो आप कहोगे कि सर आपका क्या लोकस स्टैंडाई यहाँ पे, व्हाट इज़ योर इंटरेस्ट, आर यू एन इंटरेस्टेड पार्टी. प्रिविटी ऑफ पार्टी का कॉन्सेप्ट होता है ये. ठीक है. All right. Only interested parties can question or approach the court for any matter. Then we come, now this year in the January month, while the Prime Minister was about to attend a public rally for his political party, there was a incident of breach wherein his car and his cabriolet were struck on the flyover in Punjab and his convoy had to return back because the police had not been able to clear the pathway for the Prime Minister to go ahead. So now it has been claimed that the Firozpur SSP was found wanting. He was the one who failed to provide clearance to the security forces of the Prime Minister to go ahead. Okay, so that report has now been given. Now the Supreme Court to review PMLA orders in two aspects. The government has confirmed that there will be fine, they will accept the review petition of the individuals on why no ECIR should be given to the person and why there should be a shift of burden of proof on them. So हमने बात करी, the PMLA judgment was criticized for two accounts. एक, आपको नहीं बताया जाएगा कि आपके खिलाफ कंप्लेंट क्या है, और दूसरा कि बेल और अपने प्रूफ के लिए आपको evidence लाना पड़ेगा, not the investigative agency. So Supreme Court has decided to review this matter and accept the review petition on these two aspects. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Rohan. What was the committee name? That committee name is not important. It was constituted by the Registrar of Supreme Court along with the Registrar of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. Okay. So उस committee का नाम नहीं था. It was the Registrar of the Court that was part of the Prime Minister Security Report. Now on the PMLA judgment, two grounds of review have been accepted. Why the ground of complaint? That is, the ECIR should not be told to the accused. अभी तक क्या हो रहा था कि अगर आपके खिलाफ ED का केस लगाया गया है तो आपको ये भी नहीं बताया जाएगा कि आपके खिलाफ केस है क्या. What are the grounds on which you are being accused of money laundering? And second, you had to prove the burden that you are innocent. Why should that happen? The investigative agency which is saying कि आपने money laundering करी, आप evidence लेके आओ, आप बताओ कि क्यों किया है मैंने. Why should I? आपने कह दिया कि मैंने money laundering करी है बिना किसी evidence के. अब मैं कहाँ से ढूंढता रहूँगा? I am in jail. जैसे ही केस लगेगा आप मुझे जेल में डाल दोगे, evidence लाऊंगा कहाँ से? So the court has now accepted a review and is going to give a better judgment on that regard. Right? This was a July 27 judgment by another bench of the Supreme Court which will now be in question. Okay. Then we move on about all of this, nothing of note for us. Then the Prime Minister was participating in the National Labour Conference and he talked about how the labour codes empower workers, and now the labour codes have been criticized for reducing the rights of the workers and making or giving more power to the employer. So that is why the labour codes have not been brought into practice. इसी वजह से उनके ऊपर they have been stalled despite being passed. So that is where the risk is. Ab what will happen? What will be the progress? That needs to be seen. Then we come to Vikrant, which is India's indigenous aircraft carrier, the trials for it will begin and its commissioning might happen on September the 2nd, which is the news. That's the most. Okay. Then we move on. On economic news, bank credit growth accelerated. The overall number of credit is increasing in the country. People are taking more, which could mean that the economy is probably rebounding. Then we come to this news. That is the chief economic advisor, the former chief economic advisor, Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, will now be the ED India at IMF. Okay, for 3 years. He will be the Executive Director India at IMF. CEA Krishnamurthy Subramaniam will take over as India's Executive Director at the IMF. So he will be responding or responsible for India's issues at the IMF. That is a very significant thing. So please note it down. 2 very important announcements in the newspaper today. All right, moving on. On international news, nothing of note. India's vote to allow Zelensky to give speech. So India for the first time voted against Russia. What was this vote about? This vote was about allowing Volodymyr Zelensky to give a speech at the UN Security Council. He wanted to give a speech. Russia was against it. China abstained, but India said yes, speech dena is allowed. He had already given speech in UNGA, so India has stated that Ruchira Kamboj, who is India's permanent representative at the United Nations, she has claimed that, see, this was completely okay. He had already done it. It wasn't something that was happening for the first time. So this is completely okay for us to allow him to give a speech, because the speech doesn't basically change. Everybody should have a right to speak. If they want to call for peace, then the dialogue is necessary. That was India's position in terms of that event. Then we come on more news. Nothing of note from sporting side. Nothing of note there. All right. So with this, we come to the end of our analysis for the day. Lots of things. सबसे पहले new DRDO chairman. Plus Executive Director India at IMF, then Pmla judgment, then report, then freebie plus refugee defined, okay, along with yes, office of profit. Does more credit lead to an inflation? It could. It can lead to inflation, but it depends on the place where you are taking your credit for. For example, अब आप बहुत सारे लोग credit ले रहे हैं नया मोबाइल फ़ोन लेने का, तो that can lead to inflation. But बहुत सारे लोग credit ले रहे हैं for overall better services या better business investment, then that is not the case. Okay. Then we move on. With this, we come to the end of our analysis, and the full form of ED is Enforcement Directorate. So to download and the notes that you saw on your screen, all these notes are available on this link after the session gets over, that is bit.ly/KUSHGK and to connect with me you can download the Telegram channel and connect with me there, that is Kushagra Goyal _Unacademy. Lastly, we will do our quiz in 10 minutes, that is the daily current affair quiz. Abhi se 10 minute mein we will start that quiz, and there will be a revision quiz at 7:10 p.m. so please make sure that you are there for it. On that note, kal we will be doing a recent legal judgments. All these important judgments we will be covering in this special class, so please be there for this special class, very very important for all of you. And today, once again, a reminder that I will be taking your doubts at 5:10 p.m. for legal reasoning section, so do not miss out on that. And there is a legal adalat for all of you on 27th. And lastly is a offline scholarship test for all the viewers of Delhi students. Delhi students can participate in a chance to win 100% scholarship of Unacademy by appearing in the test at 3 p.m. You can enroll for this test by scanning this QR code. So to win a chance of 100% scholarship, do it right away. On that note, अगर आपको ये analysis अच्छा लगा है तो please give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, do subscribe. Thank you so much. कल फिर से मुलाकात होगी, तब तक के लिए bye bye.